Good morning, traders. This is Heartpumper coming to you from closingprint.com on February 22nd. We're going to do some sector review real quick and then go through a few stocks. I've had a few questions about how I do some workflow on the weekends, so we're going to go over that real quick. I'm just going to start with SPX here. This is a weekly chart, so basically on my week workflow, I start with weekly charts and then I drill down. So I have all the sectors and then the indexes, and I look at those. Here you can see the list here. So basically just the SPDR sectors and then the major indexes to go through. So SPX, we tried to push higher on a weekly candle there and couldn't. Kind of got rejected there. Coming back, we're pretty far away from the 200-day, which I've shown here on the weekly. 3,200 is a pretty important level that's been tested a few times, and kind of the area that we moved up from in this last 2-week wave. So I'd watch that, and then maybe around here this 3,300, 3330 level will show that on the daily also. But again, on the weekly charts, I'm just looking for an overall global zoomed out view, just to kind of see what the indexes are doing, and we're still in a major uptrend, and that's pretty much what I look for on that. IWM tried to push higher here above that 169, 170 level, which we tested back in 18 was our previous pivot high. So range kind of built here on the weekly between 160 and 170. So those would be the areas I would be watching if we get any pullback further on this time frame. Not really kind of a top wick there. Tried to push through this higher pivot and couldn't. So we'll see what happens within the next week or so. Ideally, build some momentum here, work off some conditions through time sideways, kind of build a flag, and then push higher if that's what it wants to do before heading into the early spring, summer type trading. QQQ's just a beautiful uptrend run since breaking out of the 190, kind of 190s area since last summer. Continues higher. 2 big weeks there, and then we tried to push above the previous highs this week and couldn't, so we're coming back down now. 220s, 225 to 220s maybe is the first area I'd look if we continue to get a pullback. And then we really don't have much in here, so we'll see kind of where that ends up, and we can look at that on the daily time frame. Okay, the spiders chart didn't change yet, so let me adjust this real quick. I just changed some of these lists here so it'll be easier to do videos. I'd like to do some more videos on weekly time frames, so we can do an overview. Same thing pretty much with the other indexes. We tried to push above that weekly high and couldn't, so we'll watch that 330 area and then 320 down here going forward. TLT, we've been in this one for a few weeks, basically since this 141 area broke out, and we've been watching this on the daily time frame. Tried to push above that 147.42 and barely closed above it on this weekly bar here. So we'll see how this plays out if yields continue to be where they're at. I know a lot of people have been talking about the 140, 150 area on the yields, 1.4, 1.5. So we'll see what that does in the coming weeks and how that affects TLT. XLB, just pretty big range sideways. Didn't really do much this week. Kind of an inside, kind of tried to push higher, couldn't above that 61 level. So we'll see what happens here with XLB. XLC, same, tried to push higher above that previous pivot high, 5690s, 57 area, and couldn't. So pull back a little bit. 54s to 57s is the range here if we get any further pullback. So we'll watch that. XLE, I did nibble some the past week, and we did have a little bit move higher during the week. Some of the energy names showed up on a 200 crossover scan and held, but again, it's just been in a long downtrend. 61s is the pivot here. That we couldn't get above, and then back down here in the 40s and 50s range. WTIC, if you look at that weekly, it's 49 to 50, and we're just sitting here. So we're kind of just building a flag here. Again, have no idea if this breaks down or breaks out, so we'll just watch that. Not too heavy in the XLE, just a few starter positions in a couple names because they easily could see some more weakness and get stopped out. XLF tried to push above that 31.30 pivot and couldn't. Been a decent move since this breakout of the 28s. Like again with rates continuing to be lower, XLF just kind of treading water here and going sideways. So we'll see what happens with that. XLI kind of the same range, 82s to 85s as with the other sectors. Couldn't really push higher, so decides to consolidate and give a little pullback, so we'll watch that. XOK, it's just been a beautiful wave up move since breaking out of these 81s. Again, same with the other ones, tried to push higher. We have a wick up there, so 95s to 100s there, so we'll see if it kind of comes down and consolidates a little bit and builds a flag and builds some more momentum. XLP just kind of gradually grinding higher here on some of the XLP names. We've been looking at those in the room, and we're in a few of those. So didn't really have too much of a pullback this week. This previous kind of candle high and pivot low here held. So we'll see how that fares going forward. XLRE, we've been in quite a few names in the room since this breakout around here. I have the top weighted in XLRE in a list, and basically we just trade the top weighted names are the ones that are showing the most strength. So another after this big weekly breakout last week, held in the upper half of the range and closed up there. XLU the same. We've been in a few of these names. We discussed this flag actually, I think in a video or in the room. We were watching this, and then we had the breakout above 64.61. I know D and a few of the other ones in our list have been doing really well. So not huge momentum names on these utilities, but if they're moving, then we want to be in them and catch the ride there. XLV, I was really in a lot of XLV names back in the fall when we had this breakout here, and then took some profits when we started to get a pullback. Looks to be holding up in this kind of upper range here from 98 to 105. So we'll see how XLV performs going next few weeks. XLY, same thing. Tried to push previous pivot high and couldn't. So we'll see how that goes for the rest of the week. And we'll go to the SPY 50, which I look at quickly. Basically what I'll do for the week is I'll click on the summary, and I'll do a 1 week summary and see what was holding relative strength for the week. So GILD, ABB, UNH. So again, the XLV names held pretty well for the week, considering we had a pullback. So look at these few of those, Amgen, J&J. So we'll look at those going forward as those showed relative strength to the market. Next week, if we do get some more pullback, and look for opportunities. Basically what I do for the SPY 50 here is I'll just look for areas that can provide an opportunity going forward for entries on the long side. So the 50 MA down there on Apple and that 304 area. ABV held well this week. Abbott pulling back to the 50 MA. Amgen under the 50 there, not really doing much. Amazon pull back there. Vago, BA. Bank of America actually holding up pretty well there with a little bit of a flag. BMY, I saw this one. I jotted it down on my list. Definitely looking at this one for an entry. Nice flag pull back to the 50 MA in a previous area here. If XLV continues to hold, we'll definitely look at that one for an entry. I'm in a longer term position on this one in my longer term account. Just been writing this up, but for the swing account, we'll look for some entries there. Comcast, a little bit of flag. Cisco weak there. CVX again, energy names had a little bit of a bounce. Actually held in here this week, but we'll see how those. Disney back to the 200 MA. DuPont, Facebook. So almost all these names are pulling back. G, we're in a longer term position on this one. Entered down around this area here, so we'll see if the pullback to the 50 MA provides an opportunity to add, or if we continue down there. GILD, big volume this week on that one. So this kind of longer term range here in the 68s, pull back and then above it again. Google, pull back to the 20 there. Home Depot held well. Let's go Honeywell, building a flag up here. IBM had that big breakout post earning and then pulling back. So most of these names are just pulling back to retest. J&J, big bounce off the 50 MA, another XLV name. So we'll look at that one next week. Financials tried to push above these pivot highs here for JPM, kind of a flag there. So KO, defensive name, obviously pushing up. MasterCard's been a big run. McDonald's, Medtronic, M&M, MO, defensive name there. Merck, Microsoft, big huge run, might provide us an opportunity here if you haven't been in it. So we'll watch that one for an entry. Nvidia, Oracle trying to hold above the 200 MA there. PepsiCo, defensive name, held the 20. Looking good there. Pfizer, Lowe's, Procter & Gamble, PM, big candle there on another defensive name. TXN, and Visa, big run. Verizon, back to the 200 MA. Interesting spot there. Walmart. Okay, that's the SPY 50. So again, most of the stocks just pulling back after previous big runs and breakouts, and we'll look for a few opportunities going into the week depending on what the markets give us. And then the IBD, I'll look for the week here and see. So Sedge, HQY, and a few of these names held really well this week and had breakouts, so we'll look for those to put on the watch list going forward. So if you want to check us out at the closingprint.com, all the positions are posted in here for the week, and these are our positions and swings, and you can see some of those, and you can see our closed positions for the week. We had Space provided us a good day trade opportunity, and then two other swings. Builders had moved for the week really nicely, so we took profits in that. All right, that's it.